It almost feels like ancient history now, but do you remember that Alt-Tab dance from, what, 2023?
Oh, yeah.
You'd be writing code, you hit a bug, and then it was this whole ritual. You switch windows, copy the error,
Paste it into a chatbot, wait for the little dots to stop blinking.
copy that text, tab back, paste it in, and hope for the best.
We call that the Stone Age of AI.
Yeah.
You know, the chatbot era. And look, it was revolutionary at the time, but looking back from where we are now in early 2026, it just feels incredibly clunky. We aren't just chatting anymore. We've really entered what people are calling the agent-native era.
Right. We're talking about tools that actually live inside your terminal, agents that can refactor massive code bases while you sleep.
And systems that catch bugs before you even commit the code. It's the difference between having, I don't know, a consultant on the phone versus a partner sitting right there at the desk with you.
Or sometimes inside the keyboard itself. Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Today, we're unpacking the state of AI coding tools here in 2026. And we're basing this on a really comprehensive guide by Max Dan called Best AI Coding Tools 2026.
Yeah, and it pits the heavyweights against each other. Cursor, Copilot, Claude Code. But we're not just going to do a feature list.
No, because lists are boring.
They are. What we're really doing is mapping how the developer's role itself is changing. Max Ann's article poses this really great core question. It's not if you use AI anymore. That ship has sailed.
Long gone.
The question now is, which of these tools actually work?
Yeah.
You know, in a real production environment.
Because the novelty has completely worn off.
100%. In 2024, it was cool if the AI wrote you a poem. In 2026, the AI breaks the build. It's a liability. We need things that are effective.
Efficacy.
So we're going to break down the full stack from the IDEs where you write the code to the sidekicks you brainstorm with, to the agents doing the heavy lifting, and then the safety net that stops us from, you know, accidentally destroying the database.
And you should definitely stick around for the end because we're also going to cover 3 specific habits, Max Ann calls them, the human element, that are designed to stop these tools from hallucinating.
And these are things you can start using literally today. They're the difference between an AI that feels like a genius and one that feels like, well, a heavy burden.
Okay, let's get into it. Segment A, the new environment. The source makes a pretty bold claim right at the top. It says development doesn't really start with a text editor anymore.
No.
It starts with an environment that understands.
This is such a huge shift away from the dumb editor. I mean, for decades, text editors were just fancy typewriters, right? They knew syntax highlighting, maybe some basic linting, but they didn't know what you were actually trying to build.
Right.
And the source argues that the standout winner in this new category, the one everyone is chasing, is Cursor.
I see Cursor everywhere. But I have to ask, is it just VS Code was a really good plugin? Or is there something fundamentally different happening?
That's the common misconception. And it's an easy one to make because it's a fork of VS Code, so it feels familiar.
But it looks the same.
It looks the same. But the source really emphasizes that Cursor is a complete rebuild. AI is at the center of how it indexes everything. The key isn't the chat window, it's the context. Cursor indexes your entire code base.
Okay, so explain that in practical terms. If I'm working in one file, let's say it uses roth.ts, and I change a variable name, what happens?
So a standard plugin might help you rename it in that one file. But Cursor understands the dependency graph. It knows changing that variable name impacts a function in, like, a utility file 3 folders away. And it updates the context for the AI automatically. It's what we call global context awareness.
So it reduces that friction of context stuffing, where you're just copying and pasting 10 different files into the check.
Just to get a good answer, precisely.
Right.
You don't have to explain the entire project to it every single time. It knows. And on top of that, you have features that just streamline the actual typing. You have the tab feature, which is like a super-powered autocomplete. And then CMD plus K for inline edits.
The thing that really caught my eye in the source, though, was this idea of modes. It seems like they've finally acknowledged that coding isn't just one single activity.
This is a huge breakthrough for user experience, yeah. They've split the AI's behavior into these different modes. You have agent mode, which is for those big autonomous multi-file edits.
The heavy lifting.
The heavy lifting. Then debug mode scans for errors. Ask mode is for just exploring ideas. But the most interesting one to me is plan mode.
Plan mode. That sounds like something a project manager would love.
It is. But for the developer, in plan mode, the AI doesn't write any code. It just writes a step-by-step implementation plan. It forces the system to think before it acts.
That actually solves a huge problem I have, where an AI just rushes in and starts writing code that doesn't make any sense architecturally.
Exactly. It prevents what you could call premature optimization by the AI. Now, Cursor is really for that back-end, full-stack work. But the source also highlights another environment, builder.io, that solves a totally different problem.
Let me guess. The war between designers and engineers?
The endless war, the classic pixel-perfect battle. Move this button 2 pixels to the left.
Oh, I know it well.
Builder.io is what they call a visual AI IDE. It's designed to be the bridge. It can take design straight from Figma, or even just read a description from a Jira ticket and turn it directly into component code.
So it's basically automating that translation layer between design and code.
Yes. If you're a front-end team and you just want to kill the friction of the handoff, this is the tool. It's less about deep logic, more about visual fidelity.
The source also mentioned a couple of ones to watch. I was really intrigued by Google Antigravity. The name alone.
It sounds like a sci-fi movie, right? And the tech is genuinely futuristic. Unlike Cursor, which is on your desktop, Antigravity is a cloud environment that watches your browser, and it spins up multiple parallel agents.
Wow.
So you could have one agent fixing a bug, another writing a test, and a third updating documentation all at the same time.
So it seems the editor isn't just a typewriter anymore. It's becoming a teammate.
That's the perfect way to put it. You're shifting from writing code to directing a system.
Sometimes you don't need a whole system. You just need to talk to someone, a rubber duck that actually talks back.
The sidekicks.
Right. Segment B. The source calls this Category 2, Conversational Assistance. It says the chatbot isn't dead, it's just become a specialized tool.
It's your second brain. And Max N breaks them down into these 3 distinct personalities because they really aren't all the same. First up, the classic, ChatGPT.
The Swiss Army knife.
Exactly. It's fast, it's flexible, it knows a little bit about everything from Python to poetry. It's your go-to for brainstorming or getting unstuck on a tricky bit of regex.
But then you have Claude, and the source specifically points to Opus 4.5.
Claude is the deliberate thinker. It's noticeably slower than ChatGPT, but that's a feature, not a bug. It handles these massive context windows way better. So if you have a really complex architectural decision to make, you ask Claude.
It thinks before it speaks.
It reasons. It shows you the logic. And then you've got the third one, the dark horse, Gemini.
I feel like Gemini's always the one people forget about.
And they shouldn't. The source highlights it as the perfect tool for a second opinion. Because it's trained on Google's huge data set, it reasons differently than the OpenAI or Anthropic models. If ChatGPT and Claude are both giving you an answer that doesn't quite work, Gemini often comes at the problem from a totally different angle.
I have to admit something here. I fall into this trap all the time. I call it model monogamy.
Yes.
I get stuck in this loop with ChatGPT. I ask it a question, it gives me a bug, I paste the error back in, and it just gives me the same buggy code again, and I just keep hitting enter, hoping for a different result.
We have all been there. It's model lock-in, and the source has a pro move for this exact problem. Don't marry one tool.
It sounds so simple, but we really don't do it enough.
We don't use all 3. Most have pretty generous free tiers. If one stalls, just switch tabs. Paste the same prompt into Claude. It stops you from getting locked into a single way of thinking. It's like getting a second medical opinion, right? You don't just sit there and ask the same doctor the same question again and again.
That's a great mindset shift. Okay, let's move on. Segment C. Let's talk about speed, the launch pads.
Category 3, app builders. This is for when you have an idea at 2 in the morning and you just need to see if it has legs.
Rapid prototyping.
Exactly. The source calls these launch pads, not factories. You've got tools like Replit, which has grown from just a browser editor into a full-stack AI workspace. You can literally write in plain language, I want a to-do app that gamifies tasks, and the code just appears.
And what about Lovable?
Lovable is interesting because it's what we call highly opinionated. It makes a hard commitment to a very specific stack. React, Tailwind, Invite.
So if you love that stack, you're flying.
You're building at light speed. But if you want to use, say, Angular or Python on the back end, you're out of luck. You're trading flexibility for pure velocity.
And if you don't want to be locked in like that,
then you look at something like Bolt. The source calls it the Explorer. It supports Vue, Svelte, Expo. It's much more agnostic.
But I want to push back on this a bit. These tools generate a lot of code very, very quickly. Isn't that just a recipe for massive technical debt?
That is the catch.
You wouldn't build the next Netflix on Lovable, would you?
You wouldn't. They're great for starting fast, for validating an idea, or for building internal tools. Yeah. But they're not designed to carry a complex long-term code base. At some point, you have to eject and take over.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand what the AI wrote for you, you're in real trouble.
Which I think that leads us perfectly into the deepest and maybe slightly scarier part of the stack, segment D, the automation layer.
This is the biggest shift in 2026. Category 4, agents.
The source draws a really sharp line here. We've been talking about brains in a box, chatbots. But now we're talking about brains with hands.
It is a profound difference. Up until now, AI just gave you text. And you had to copy it, paste it, run it. You were the gatekeeper. Agents have permissions. They can access your terminal. They can edit your files. They can run shell commands.
Whoa. So theoretically, we're talking about a tool that can not only suggest a fix, but actually go into my directory, delete a file, and rewrite it while I'm making coffee.
That is the reality of tools like Claude Code. It reads your entire repository. It can spin up subagents to work in parallel. The source compares it to a junior engineer that never sleeps. It is working in the system, not just talking about it.
That sounds incredible for productivity, but brain with hands. My first thought is, what if it slips?
And that is the trade-off.
So the trade-off for this autonomy is higher risk.
Much higher risk. If a chatbot gives you a wrong answer, you just ignore it. It's text on a screen. If an agent with terminal access is wrong, it breaks the build. Or worse, it could delete the database.
Which is why you can't just let these things run wild. You need a referee.
Exactly.
And that sets up our next segment perfectly. If we have robots writing code at the speed of light, who is checking their homework? But first, we need to take a quick break.
Okay, we are back. We just talked about agents, the brains with hands that can code while we sleep. But as you said, if they mess up, they can mess up big. So let's talk about segment E, the safety net.
Right. This covers categories 5, 6, and 7 in the source. This is the review layer, because the volume of code being generated is just exploding. Human review can't keep up. You physically cannot read every line of code generated by an agent.
So we need AI to check the AI's work.
We do. And the source highlights a few key players. First, there's BugBot, which is actually built into Cursor. It scans your pull requests, your PRs, before they even land. It's that first line of defense. And then there's CodeRabbit. I have to say, I love that name.
It's a great name. But what's fascinating about CodeRabbit is that it's a learning reviewer. It's not just a static tool looking for syntax errors. You can actually give it commands in natural language.
Like what?
Like, check that this logic handles edge cases for leap years, or write unit tests for this function.
So it adapts to your coding style over time.
Exactly. It learns what you care about. It's like having a very patient senior engineer who reads every single line of code and gently suggests improvements.
And for the really scary stuff, for security.
That's where a tool like Snyk comes in. While CodeRabbit is looking for logic and style, Snyk is looking for vulnerabilities. Will this new code get us hacked? Are we using a dependency with a known exploit? It's the security guard at the door.
Now, even with all of that, bugs still happen, production still breaks. The source mentions a tool called Jam for debugging. How is that different from just staring at logs?
Jam is all about solving the "it works on my machine" problem.
A worse problem.
The absolute worst. Usually a user sends you a screenshot and just says it's broken, which is useless. Jam captures a video replay of their session, but, and this is the key part, it syncs that video with the network requests and console logs.
So you can actually see the code failing at the exact moment the user clicks the button.
Exactly. You are not guessing anymore. You are replaying the crime scene. And then finally, there's a tool called Mintlify for documentation.
Because no one likes writing docs.
No one. And no one keeps them updated. Mintlify reads your code and keeps the documentation in sync automatically. You change the code, the docs update. Simple as that.
It really feels like we're automating all the chores, debugging, reviewing, documenting.
Precisely. We're turning the parts of coding that nobody likes, the maintenance, the bureaucracy, into background infrastructure that's just handled by AI. And that frees up the human to focus on the actual problem solving.
But that brings us to the final, and I think maybe the most important point, segment F. The source ends with this warning about the human element. It says, quote, AI generates code, not judgment.
And this is so critical. You cannot automate judgment. If you don't understand the fundamentals, you won't be able to spot the hallucinations. You won't know why the agent chose one architecture over another.
Right.
The source mentions Scrimba's full-stack AI engineer path as a good resource here. It teaches not just how to write prompts, but how the underlying code actually works.
I think this is where a lot of people get tripped up. They think the tool does the job for them. But the source outlines 3 specific habits to make the AI better. And I think we should break these down because this is the real how-to part for anyone listening.
Yeah, these are gold. Habit number 1, plan before executing.
So don't just say, build this app.
Right. Use that plan mode in Cursor or just ask the AI flat out. Outline the steps before you write any code. It forces the model to load the right context and think logically before it just starts spitting out syntax.
It's like you're treating the AI as a junior developer. You wouldn't just tell a junior, build the checkout page, and then walk away. You'd plan it with them first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, habit number 2, teach AI your project.
This is about those context files you mentioned.
Yep. You can create a file that's like.plot.md for Claude or .cursor rules for Cursor, and you just dump your tech stack in there, your coding style, your preferred libraries. You do it once, and the AI reads it every time.
So I don't have to keep repeating myself. I don't have to say, remember, I use Tailwind, I use Tailwind.
It just knows. It aligns the AI's output with your project's preferences automatically.
And the third one.
Habit number 3 is the magic prompt.
I love a good magic prompt.
It's so simple. Before writing code, ask me at least 3 clarifying questions.
Oh, that's really smart. Why does that work so well?
Because it completely flips the dynamic. It forces the AI to stop and simulate a requirements gathering phase. It has to ask, wait, what about mobile users? What about error handling? It turns a command into a collaboration.
So the secret isn't necessarily a better model, it's just better inputs from the human.
100%. Planning, context, and clarification.
Yeah.
That's what turns a random slot machine into a reliable teammate.
I love that. Okay, let's zoom out. We've covered a ton of ground. What's the big idea here?
The big idea, if you look at the whole 2026 landscape, is this. We've moved from simple chat windows to these full immersive environments like Cursor. We've gone from helpful chatbots to autonomous agents with hands, like Claude Code. And because that's inherently risky, we've wrapped it all in a safety net of AI reviewers like CodeRabbit.
It feels like a complete ecosystem now. It's not just a bunch of scattered tools anymore.
It is. But the big idea isn't the tools themselves. It's that the tools alone don't make you a developer. The real AI native mindset is about mastering the fundamentals so you can manage these agents. You're moving from being a bricklayer to being a construction manager.
That's a powerful analogy. You still need to know if the wall is straight, even if you didn't lay every single brick yourself.
Exactly. If you don't know what a straight wall is supposed to look like, the AI will build you a crooked house and you won't even know until it all comes crashing down.
So, for everyone listening, here is your challenge. Pick just one thing we talked about today. Maybe it's checking out Google Antigravity just because it sounds wild. Or maybe it's as simple as adopting that magic prompt. Ask me 3 questions and just try it for a week. See how it changes your workflow.
And, just hope your new AI agent doesn't decide to delete the production database while you're taking a nap.
Let's hope not. Check your permissions, people. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.